First contact fallout. The vast emptiness of space stretched before Captain Elara Reed as she stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant. The observation viewport offered a stunning view of the nebula cloud they'd been monitoring for the past week. Streaks of violet and azure gases twisted through the blackness, illuminated by distant stars. "Status report, Lieutenant Chen," she said, her voice carrying the quiet authority that had earned her command of humanity's newest long-range patrol vessel. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his console, his dark eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of holographic displays. "All systems nominal, Captain. We've completed our survey of the nebula. Astrophysics team reports the data collection is at 97%. Reed nodded, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. At 42, she was relatively young for a captain of an Explorer-class vessel, but her 15 years in the United Earth Defense Force had earned her this assignment. The Defiant represented humanity's evolving approach to space exploration, equipped for scientific discovery, but prepared for the unknown dangers of deep space. "Commander Okafor, how much longer until we can wrap up here?" Her XO looked up from the tactical station. 2 hours at most, Captain. Then we can proceed to the next waypoint." The calm routine of the bridge was suddenly interrupted by a sharp alert tone. "Captain." Lieutenant Chen's voice rose with urgency. "Multiple objects emerging from FTL at the edge of our sensor range." Reed's posture straightened. "Classification. Unknown configuration. Definitely not human. I count 1 large vessel and 6 smaller escorts. Yellow alert. Raise defensive screens. Passive mode only." Reed ordered calmly. "Let's not appear threatening, but I want us ready. Open frequencies across all standard protocols." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. The Defiant wasn't primarily a warship, but like all human vessels that ventured beyond the inner colonies, it was well equipped for defense. Humanity had learned that lesson the hard way during the Proxima incident 20 years ago. "Vessels approaching at sublight speed," reported Chen. "They'll be within visual range in 3 minutes. Put them on screen when you can." When the alien flotilla appeared on the main view screen, Reed studied them carefully. The lead ship was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Defiant, with an unusual asymmetrical design that suggested a different approach to physics and engineering than humanity had developed. The smaller vessels flanked it in a perfect hexagonal formation. "They're beautiful," whispered Ensign Park from the science station. Reed silently agreed. The vessels had an organic quality to them, with hulls that seemed to flow rather than connect in the angular fashion of human ships. They gleamed with a coppery iridescence that shifted colors as they moved through space. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Chen announced. "It's using one of our standard frequencies. I think their computers have analyzed our communication systems." "Put it through." The view screen shifted to show the interior of the alien vessel. The being centered in the frame had a vaguely reptilian appearance, scaled skin in deep purple hues, with 4 eyes positioned in a diamond pattern on a wedge-shaped head. When it spoke, its mouth moved in sync with the words that came through the translator. "Attention, unidentified vessel. This is High Commander Kral Thex of the Verex Imperium. You have entered territory claimed by the Imperium. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Reed stepped forward. "This is Captain Elara Reed of the human stellar ship Defiant. We are on a scientific and exploratory mission. We were unaware this region was claimed territory. We come in peace and apologize for any intrusion." The alien commander's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "Human, your species is unknown to us. Our records show no spacefaring civilization in this sector apart from our own. We are relatively new to interstellar travel," Reed replied diplomatically. "Our home system is approximately 40 light-years from this position." There was a pause as Kral Thex seemed to consult with someone off-screen. When he returned his attention to the communication, his posture had changed subtly. Reed had studied enough xenopsychology to recognize the shift. The alien was now displaying dominance behavior. "Your vessel appears primitive by our standards, Captain Reed. The Ferex Imperium has controlled this sector for 300 cycles. We do not permit unauthorized exploration of our territories. Reed maintained her composure. Again, we apologize for the misunderstanding. We will depart immediately, if that is your wish. That will not be necessary. Vex's tone shifted again. We are curious about your species. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. We wish to examine your technology and learn more about these humans. The request sent a chill through the bridge. Reed exchanged a quick glance with Commander Okafor, whose subtle headshake confirmed her own instinct. I'm afraid I cannot comply with that request. High Commander, Reed said firmly. While we respect your territorial claim and will gladly depart, allowing unknown entities to board our vessel is against our protocols. Kralfex made a sound that the translator didn't interpret, something between a hiss and a click. You misunderstand, Captain. This was not a request. The Ferex Imperium has encountered many emerging species. It is our right and duty to assess potential threats. Your compliance is expected. Commander, Reed said, deliberately keeping her tone respectful but firm. I propose a compromise. We can share some information about our species via data transmission and arrange a formal diplomatic meeting at a neutral location. The alien commander's 4 eyes blinked in an unsynchronized pattern. Your proposal is rejected. You will submit to boarding or face the consequences. Reed straightened her uniform jacket. I hope you'll reconsider. We have no hostile intent. Your intentions are irrelevant. Kralfex gestured to someone off-screen. You have 1 of your minutes to power down voluntarily before we take action. The transmission cut off. Captain, Commander Okafor said quietly, the escort vessels are taking up attack positions. Reed's mind raced through options. Earth's policy on first contact was clear. Seek peace, but never at the cost of security. Red alert. Defensive systems to active. Power up the Hawking shields, but keep weapons on standby only. They're scanning us, Captain, reported Lieutenant Chen. Deep penetrating scans. Reed nodded. Let them look. They won't understand what they're seeing anyway. After Earth's first disastrous alien encounter, human technology had evolved rapidly, often in directions that differed fundamentally from other species. The Defiance Hawking shields utilized principles that would be nearly incomprehensible to civilizations that hadn't developed along Earth's unique technological path. They're powering weapons, Commander Okafor reported. Energy signatures building in their forward arrays. Hold position, Reed ordered. All personnel, brace for potential impact. Captain, they're firing. Chen called out. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the lead Ferex vessel, striking the Defiance shields. The bridge trembled slightly, but the expected violence of impact never materialized. Shields holding at 96%. Okafor reported, a note of pride in his voice. The Hawking field is redistributing the energy across the quantum layer. On the view screen, they could see confusion evident in the movements of the alien vessels. The smaller escorts adjusted position, and all 6 fired simultaneously. Again, the Defiant absorbed the assault with minimal effect. They're hailing us again, Chen said. The alien commander's face appeared on screen, his expression unmistakably different, even across species barriers. What technology is this? Our sensors indicated your vessel possessed only basic defenses. Reed allowed herself a small smile. High Commander, I try to avoid this confrontation. What you're experiencing is merely one aspect of human defensive capability. I again ask that you stand down and allow us to depart peacefully. Impossible, Kralfex hissed. No emerging species could develop such technology independently. Yet here we are, Reed replied. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The alien commander's posture shifted again, more agitated now. You will surrender your shield technology to the Imperium immediately. Reed's expression hardened. That's not going to happen, Commander. Final warning. Break off your attack. All vessels, full assault pattern. Kralthex ordered before cutting the transmission. The Ferex ships began a coordinated attack, encircling the Defiant while firing continuously. The human vessel's shields shimmered with dispersed energy, but remained intact. "Captain, they're preparing to launch what appear to be boarding craft," Okafor warned. Reed had hoped to avoid escalation, but these aliens were leaving her no choice. Target the boarding craft only. Precision point defense, minimal yield. As the smaller craft emerged from the Ferex vessels, the Defiance defense systems activated. Pinpoint pulses of energy struck the boarding craft with surgical precision, disabling their propulsion systems without destroying them. "Captain, the main vessel is repositioning," Chen reported. "Energy readings suggest they're preparing a much larger weapons discharge." Reed made her decision. "Activate the Princeton drive for 10 seconds, defensive mode only." A ripple of surprise went through the bridge crew. The Princeton drive was the Defiant's most classified system, a technology that manipulated the fundamental forces of reality in ways that had revolutionized human understanding of physics. "Princeton drive active," confirmed the ship's eye. For a brief moment, reality seemed to shimmer around the Defiant. When the alien vessel fired its main weapon, a devastating beam of particle energy that should have vaporized anything in its path, the beam simply vanished midway between the ships. On the Ferex command vessel, High Commander Kralthex watched in disbelief as their most powerful weapon disappeared into nothingness before reaching the human ship. "Impossible," he whispered. "No technology could." His tactical officer interrupted with panic in his voice. "High Commander, our weapon discharge has just emerged from behind our own vessel." Before Kralthex could process this information, the Ferex flagship was struck by its own weapon, the energy beam slicing through its rear quadrant. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems failed and compartments decompressed. Back on the Defiant, Reed watched with a mixture of satisfaction and regret. "Princeton drive deactivated," she ordered. "Open a channel to the Ferex flagship." When Kralthex's face appeared on screen again, chaos was visible behind him. Emergency lighting bathed the command center in a red glow, and officers rushed to contain the damage. "What have you done?" the alien commander demanded, his composure completely abandoned. "We redirected your energy weapon back to its source," Reed explained calmly. "This was merely a demonstration, High Commander. We calibrated the return trajectory to damage your weapon systems only, avoiding life support and crew quarters. We could have directed it anywhere." For the first time, something resembling fear showed in the alien's four eyes. "This technology, it defies physical laws." "Not our understanding of physical laws," Reed corrected. "Now shall we discuss a peaceful resolution to this unfortunate first contact?" The reckoning. 3 hours after the initial confrontation, the bridge of the HS Defiant had settled into an uneasy calm. The Ferex vessels maintained their distance, weapons powered down but still surrounding the human ship in a loose formation. Captain Reed studied the damage assessment reports scrolling across her tablet. "Engineering says the Princeton drive needs a full recalibration after the defensive deployment. We won't be able to use it again for at least 8 hours. Commander Okafor nodded grimly. "Let's hope our friends out there don't discover that particular limitation." Reed set the tablet down and rubbed her temples. First contact scenarios were always unpredictable, but this one had deteriorated faster than most. The fact that they'd been forced to reveal the Princeton drive technology concerned her deeply. Earth Command was particularly protective of humanity's most advanced innovations. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called from his station. "I'm detecting multiple spatial distortions. Looks like FTL signatures." Reed straightened. "Ferex reinforcements." "Consistent with their drive signatures, yes. I count 17 new vessels emerging." The tactical display updated to show the new arrivals, a mix of capital ships and smaller craft, all bearing the distinctive asymmetrical design of Ferex technology. They took up positions around the existing formation, effectively doubling the force facing the lone human vessel. "They're hailing us," Chen reported. Reed squared her shoulders. On screen, High Commander Krell appeared, now standing in what appeared to be a different command center. Burns marked one side of his scaled face, evidence that he'd been injured in the earlier engagement. Captain Reed, the alien's voice carried a new edge of hatred. You have committed an act of war against the Ferex Imperium. The battle group Relentless has arrived to ensure your surrender or destruction. Reed kept her expression neutral. Commander, we defended ourselves after repeated warnings. The escalation was your choice. A minor miscalculation, Krell dismissed. We underestimated your defensive capabilities. That error will not be repeated. Behind him stood another Ferex, larger and with more elaborate markings on his scales. Krell gestured to this figure. Fleet Admiral Taz Ron now commands this operation. Your trickery will not save you from the full might of an Imperial battle group. The larger alien stepped forward. Human vessel, your technology is now the property of the Imperium. Surrender your ship intact, and your crew will be permitted to live as research subjects. Resistance will result in your complete destruction. Reed glanced at Okafor, who subtly tapped his wrist display, a signal that their emergency burst transmission to Earth had been acknowledged. Help would be coming, but they needed to buy time. Fleet Admiral, Reed addressed the new commander. I understand your position, but I urge you to consider the broader implications. We are representatives of a larger human federation. Any aggressive action against us will have diplomatic consequences. The Admiral's upper eyes narrowed. Our scans show your vessel is alone, with no support within 50 light years. Your threats are transparent. Reed smiled slightly. Your scans also showed we had only basic defenses, yet here we are. This gave the Admiral pause, if only briefly. You have 10 minutes to surrender before we open fire. When the transmission ended, Reed immediately turned to her crew. Options. The Hawking shields will hold against conventional weapons, Okafor offered, but not indefinitely against that many ships. Without the Princeton drive at full capacity, we can't redirect their more powerful weapons. Lieutenant Commander Park spoke up from the science station. Captain, what if we deploy the quantum buoys? They're meant for scientific observation, but their sensor arrays could be repurposed. Reed considered this. The quantum buoys carried sophisticated equipment designed to collect data across multiple dimensions simultaneously. To do what exactly? Create a false sensor echo, Park explained, growing animated. We could make it appear that multiple human vessels are emerging from FTL. Not enough to match their fleet, but enough to make them hesitate. How quickly can you modify the buoys? 20 minutes, minimum. Reed frowned. We have 10. Captain, Chen interrupted. Incoming transmission. It's from Earth Command, tight beam quantum encrypted. Relief washed over Reed. In my ready room. Once inside, she activated her secure terminal. Admiral Helena Zhang's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious. Captain Reed, we received your emergency transmission. The situation you're facing is precisely what we've been preparing for. Admiral, we're outnumbered and the Princeton drive needs time to recalibrate. I'm not sure we can hold out until reinforcements arrive. Zhang's expression didn't change. Reinforcements are already on their way, Captain. But first, you're authorized to implement protocol revelation. Reed's eyes widened. Admiral, are you certain? That would mean. The Security Council voted unanimously. These Ferex have already seen the Princeton drive. The calculus has changed. You're authorized to reveal our full defensive capabilities if necessary. Understood, Admiral. One more thing, Captain. The Artemis Battle Group was already conducting exercises in the Ta-CD system. They'll be arriving via dimensional fold in approximately 17 minutes. Hold the line until then. When Reed returned to the bridge, her expression had changed, resolute and confident. Lieutenant Chen, open a channel to the Ferex flagship. The alien admiral appeared on screen again. Your time is nearly expired, human. Admiral Tozran, I've been authorized to inform you that reinforcements from the United Earth Defense Force will be arriving shortly. I strongly advise you to withdraw your forces now. The Admiral made the clicking hiss sound that seemed to signify derision. Your deception is futile. Our sensors detect no approaching vessels. They wouldn't, Reed replied simply. Admiral, I'm going to activate a special transmission now. It's directed at your sensor systems. Please watch carefully. She nodded to Lieutenant Chen, who initiated the protocol revelation sequence. A targeted data stream flowed from the Defiant to the Ferex vessels. Not an attack, but information. Specifically, unclassified but carefully curated data about humanity's technological development, military capacity, and defensive capabilities. On the Ferex flagship, confusion spread as their systems processed the incoming data. Tactical displays showed simulations of human weapon systems that defied their understanding of physics. Historical records documented Earth's rapid technological advancement following their first hostile alien encounter. Most concerning were the specifications of Earth's defensive fleet, hundreds of vessels equipped with technology comparable to or exceeding the Defiance capabilities. This cannot be accurate, Admiral Tozran murmured, his 4 eyes scanning the flood of information. I assure you, it is, Reed responded. What you're seeing is merely what our government has authorized me to share. The Defiant is a patrol and exploration vessel. Admiral, not a warship. The implication hung in the silence between them. The Admiral's posture stiffened. You expect me to believe that a civilization unknown to the Imperium until today possesses technology that surpasses our 3,000 years of development. Different paths of evolution lead to different technological outcomes, Reed replied. We developed in isolation, facing challenges unique to our world. It shaped our approach to science and survival. Before the Admiral could respond, Lieutenant Chen called out, Captain. Spatial distortions forming directly behind the Ferex fleet. Reed allowed herself a smile. Right on schedule. The space behind the alien vessels seemed to fold in upon itself, creating a series of rectangular apertures in the fabric of reality. Through these dimensional doorways emerged the ships of Earth's Artemis battle group. 12 vessels of varying sizes, each sleek and angular in design, a stark contrast to the organic curves of the Ferex ships. At their center was the EDF Artemis itself, a dreadnought-class vessel twice the size of the Defiant. Its hull gleamed with the distinctive iridescence of molecularly bonded neutronium, nearly indestructible by conventional weapons. Admiral, Reed said quietly, those are warships. The Ferex fleet scrambled to reorient themselves, caught completely off guard by the human vessels appearing directly in their rear formation. The neat battle lines dissolved into chaos as ships maneuvered to bring weapons to bear on the new threat. A new face appeared on the view screen alongside Admiral Tozran, a human woman with silver-streaked black hair and the insignia of a fleet commander. This is Fleet Commander Sakura Yamamoto of the Earth Defense Force Artemis Battle Group. Ferex vessels, you are engaged in hostile action against a UEDF exploration ship. Stand down immediately and withdraw, or we will respond with appropriate force. Admiral Tozran's composure finally broke. How did your vessels approach without detection? Our sensor network extends throughout this entire sector. Dimensional folding. Commander Yamamoto replied matter-of-factly. We don't travel through space as you understand it. For several tense moments, the Ferex Admiral seemed to be calculating his options. The human battle group had positioned itself perfectly, catching his fleet in a tactical vice. Even with superior numbers, his ships were now vulnerable from multiple vectors. High Commander Krelthex stepped forward, his voice urgent. Admiral, their lead vessel's energy signature is fluctuating in patterns similar to the weapon that reflected our own firepower. If they all possess such capability. The unspoken conclusion hung in the air. The Ferex fleet could effectively destroy itself if the humans redirected their weapons. Admiral Tozran's upper eyes closed briefly, a gesture of resignation. Fleet Commander Yamamoto, we will withdraw. But know this, the Imperium does not forget such humiliation. The Imperial Council will be informed of this encounter. Commander Yamamoto's expression remained neutral. Before you depart, Admiral, I'm authorized to extend an invitation. The United Earth government would welcome diplomatic representatives from the Ferex Imperium. We prefer alliances to conflicts. The offer clearly surprised the Ferex Admiral. You would propose diplomacy after this confrontation. Especially after this confrontation, Yamamoto responded. War benefits neither of our civilizations. We've demonstrated our capability not to establish dominance, but to ensure mutual respect. As the Ferex fleet began its withdrawal, Captain Reed felt a complex mixture of emotions: relief that bloodshed had been largely avoided, pride in humanity's restraint despite their technological advantage, and concern for the future. First contacts were delicate things, and this one had been far from ideal. Commander Okafor approached her station. Do you think they'll accept the diplomatic invitation? Reed watched the alien vessels moving away on the tactical display. Eventually, they'll need time to process what happened here, to understand that they've encountered something they weren't prepared for. Humanity, Okafor said with a slight smile. Yes, Reed agreed. For better or worse, the galaxy just got a little smaller today. As the last Ferex ship disappeared into FTL, Reed turned to her communications officer. Lieutenant Chen, prepare a full report for Earth Command. The title should read, First Contact with the Ferex Imperium, Lessons and Opportunities. Despite everything, Captain Ilara Reed remained an explorer at heart. Today's confrontation would eventually give way to tomorrow's cooperation. Humanity's true strength had always been building bridges, even after showing that they could not be bullied or conquered. The stars continued their eternal vigil as the human vessels regrouped, their presence in the galaxy now known to yet another civilization that had mistakenly believed itself superior. It would not be the last such encounter, but perhaps the next would begin with respect rather than presumption. In the vast theater of space, humanity had once again demonstrated that they were not to be underestimated, a lesson the Ferex Imperium would not soon forget.